what's going on, everyone? This is episode 2 of the Photure podcast. We're here with head of product and original founder of Photure Inc, Patrick Pistor. Welcome, Patrick. It's great to have you on.
Great to
And if
be
we could
here.
just get started, and I just would like to ask you about your background and some of your experiences that have gotten you here today.
Awesome. Yeah, no, like you said, the original founder, me and Evan started building this together, but it did. Poacher started out from a text message that I sent him, so you could say that. Background: I started coding at around the age of 9. I was really passionate about building front end user experiences for. It started out with family and friends, and then from there, eventually grew into nonprofits. My first job in high school was working as a web developer for a nonprofit animal humanitarian rabbit shelter based in upstate New York. Started working there and learning basic things on like how to like convert sales using like online platforms and experiences like that. And as well as in high school, I spent a lot of time building games and video game experiences for web and mobile as well. Kind of the combination of those two things led to me pursuing a computer science degree in college, which I was there for 2 years. I ended up dropping out my second year to start my own consultancy agency. I was very involved in hackathons when I was in college, and the passion for me has always been around creation and building things. It isn't necessarily solving computational problems. It's more of like using programming as a tool, as a means to an end to kind of build solutions to problems that I observe in the real world. So problems can be as simple as like, oh, I need something entertaining to do, make a game, for example. But in the case of Photure, it's turned out to be how to make blockchain user experiences that are very hard and complex and sometimes still require code in order to accomplish what you need. How do we take those complex experiences and make them as simple as possible? And I think that that's been a huge focus of mine throughout my entire career. My first few like internships in college were primarily focused on front end design, UI UX as well. When I was at Intuit, specifically working on internal tools there, and when I was at Apple, designing internal tools for product teams to be able to build and ship tools faster. For Intuit, it was the TurboTax platform, and for Apple, it was building the productivity and bug tracking tools that all of their hardware and software is built off of.
Wow.
So working on those type of experiences and making people have an easier time getting work done was something that I was very passionate early on in my career. Becoming a software engineer, my first full-time job was continuing to stay on that internal tools train, but instead of building tools to help other developers like myself, I was building a mobile app that JB Hunt used to manage $10 billion worth of loads every year, just shipping and logistics. So building a mobile app to help drivers manage individual work days and kind of maintain productivity across the entire production line, product like of shipping products from trains and boats, taking those off and getting those onto trucks and delivering the end product to stores. From there, I then started kind of switching my focus from building products and services and designing products and services for companies to do work better to building some more consumer front-facing products. So when I was at a carrier, I spent some time focusing on security and access security, specifically for individuals that want to open like locked doors without having to have an access card. You can just use your phone and kind of authenticate there and create more secure experiences where you can't lose your phone and have someone else log into your phone and get into a building. And while it's losing a key card or an access card, provides that layer of penetration basically into a secure facility. But kind of from there, spent some time at Ford working on financial apps and got really into cryptocurrency last year. And I started my own company. It was called Plan. It was specifically building a mobile wallet for the Polkadot ecosystem and helping individuals that were new to blockchain basically get started and start staking financial assets like Polkadot. Kusama was the main one. Getting like interest back at like 6 to 7% versus what a standard savings account would give you, and kind of just taking a use case that made sense to me in crypto and making it as easy as possible for people. But a lot of the user feedback I was getting at the time was, we want to make NFTs.
Hmm.
How do we make NFTs? How do we get started with that? And that's kind of how Photure came to be. I texted my friend Evan, and we started hacking together on what became the first iteration of Photure over a weekend. And we launched that Tuesday, and it was really the use case was really resonating with people, being able to just use your smartphone and create art around you with the snap of a photo, and then being able to like create blockchain content that quickly was a huge need in the market that we noticed and are still continuing to notice to this day.
Hmm. Yeah, and you said you created that, I believe if I heard way back, in a weekend with
Yes.
Evan. You created the Photure app, the original version, in a weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. So we leveraged an API that allowed you to kind of handle all the minting process in the background. So for us, it was quickly connecting to that, being able to allow users to add a wallet just through copy and paste, which is what we were doing at the time. We weren't even doing any formal like authentication on the wallet side, so you could have put anybody's wallet in and had access to the app. Yeah, so that prototype was created in a very short amount of time, just due to the fact that side projects, when you're working on them, you can get caught up in the complexity of it and get to the point where you just stop working on it and no progress is ever made. You can spend months working on something, chipping away at it, but it's hard to kind of keep the energy and the motivation going until you release. And that's why Evan and I really wanted to focus, because Evan was coming from this. He had a project he was working on too. He was working on other financial tools similar to what I was doing, but instead of focusing on the savings account and interest, he was focusing on stock market and financial literacy around investing and providing people computational power that they usually wouldn't have access to in order to predict the stock market.
Wow.
So kind of lowering the barrier of entry into financial products and services is something both Evan and I were really passionate about, but we were both really frustrated with the speed of iteration at which we were moving with these previous products. So
Hmm.
Photure was an opportunity for us to build something quickly in a weekend and just see where it went from there. And we were really, really happy with the direction and the reception of that first initial launch, and that kind of continued our passion and motivation from there.
Hmm. Yeah. Not soon after that weekend, it got thousands of downloads, I believe, right?
Yes, yep. So we launched on a website called Product Hunt that Tuesday. So when we launched on Product Hunt, we received around 300 upvotes, which led to a few thousand downloads and some press coverage for us, which was awesome.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, getting the recognition from peers as well as people that we looked up to in the industry, and kind of like slowly growing our app store ranking, just started making us imagine like the possibilities of what this platform could eventually become, and led to us adding some more like prioritizing features that we wanted to get done but just weren't going to have the time to do in a weekend, like
Hmm.
video and as well as audio and video and photo editing, and kind of allowing people to have like a full suite of tools to create and mint to the blockchain whatever content they could from their smartphone camera.
Hmm. Because originally it was just for, or the target was photographers. For
Yes.
That's how
Yeah,
it started.
absolutely. Yeah, honestly, um that's what it became. The target
Okay.
originally was get something built and released and see what happens. We had no idea who was going to use this or what use case it was going to be for. But we did notice a growing trend shortly thereafter of people creating NFT photography content
Hmm.
and releasing that on OpenSea, Foundation, Rarible, and some of the other existing NFT marketplaces. But those marketplaces weren't doing much to like present and promote photography based content on their platform. For example, OpenSea didn't have a photography category, and when you searched photography on OpenSea, you wouldn't see any photographs really. Even though they were being
Hmm.
created and were being distributed and sold, the discovery really wasn't there for that type of content. Profile pictures, mint passes, POAPs. Like that was really the main focus of the NFT ecosystem, and still really is. Photography exists as like a niche within the fine art space of NFTs, which it exists as a niche within the fine art industry in the rest of the world as well too.
Mhm.
Yeah, so then from there we're like, okay, we have a tool that makes things really really easier. So we thought really easy for NFT photographers that don't know how to code, don't really want to bore themselves with a lot of the technical aspects of the blockchain. So we eventually, at a hackathon, actually, it was the ETH Global Web3 Jam. Evan and I participated in that in November of 2021. We prototyped and built out a marketplace and feed functionality where you can kind of scroll through, observe photos that you were interested in. You could create new remixes of those photos. So if you saw one you liked, you could edit it and you could make it your own and re-release it as well. And we had interesting royalty mechanisms attached to that. So if you created a remix of someone's original photo, they would get like a kickback percentage, and it would link to the original creation. So it was a fun little tool, but we also had purchasing added to it. So you could purchase NFTs directly in app, in like a marketplace format, which we were,
Oh,
building that in response to the fact that all the existing marketplaces didn't have categories or discovery for photos. We were going to build a platform specifically for that use case.
mhm. And you still expect the NFT photography space to grow, and because that's, well, I mean, Photure molded into that after its first version, but now Photure is something else. So Photure has
Absolutely.
evolved a lot over the past. How long has Photure even been
We
alive for?
we launched it early September of 2021. So we're coming up on a year next month actually,
Wow.
which is pretty exciting. Yeah.
Mhm. Not even a
Yeah.
year old.
So yeah, as I kind of alluded to earlier, I don't see the NFT photography space growing to be much bigger than the existing fine art photography market.
Mhm.
There's some interesting things happening, but what we provide and the functionality and the tool that we created allows you to quickly create blockchain content very very quickly. It's one of the
Mhm.
fastest ways on a mobile or PC device to publish to the blockchain. And we couldn't think of a better use case for that than journalists, people that are around breaking news, or anybody really that uh, feels an urgency to publish something and wants to be able to verify that it actually happened. And from there, we've kind of explored this new platform that you're alluding to, yeah, which is where we're building a tool to give to people to not really focus on, like spending hours crafting and editing the perfect piece, but saying, I want people to see this quickly. How can I quickly give this to people while maintaining that it doesn't get deleted in any way, or leave attachment to me? Specifically, when we talk about a lot of our users in Russia, Ukraine, as well as China, in
Mhm.
those type of authoritarian governments, it's really hard to get messages out and really speak your truth because they're on censored platforms that are designed in a way that you can't get that out, and you have to kind of listen to what the mainstream narrative is. And we've already seen examples in China of people creating NFTs on OpenSea specifically when their posts get deleted on Weibo, because the Ethereum blockchain is never going to be blocked by the Chinese or the Russian government. They rely on those financial services and layers for their own uses, right? So there's nothing they can do about content that's posted there, and we're just going to be providing front end experiences for you to be able to view content that's created on the blockchain in a very engaging way, as well as the verification tools to those creators so they can stay anonymous wherever they are, and still add verification layers saying, I was in this general area where this breaking news event's happening. Um, it was taken directly into the Photure camera. It wasn't uploaded. It wasn't edited. And we're enabling. I hate to use the word creator here, but we're enabling individuals who are becoming journalists accidentally because they are around news stories that people want firsthand accounts from, and giving them the tools to not even have to give up their first and last name or address, they can just create and upload the content, and people will be able to verify that this actually happened based off of the filters that we provide through metadata and a variety of other channels.
Yeah, so nothing's ever been able to be done like this before because of the NFTs, because of the technology that you have, and the experiences that you, Evan, and Matt have had to kind of bring this thing together. There's not really
Absolutely.
been
Yep.
anything like this before.
No, yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Matt because that's another crucial aspect of the story. So around the time that we were building that hackathon and really going deep into the marketplace avenue, it was almost a godsend in a lot of ways to bring Matt on the team, who's now our CEO, to
Mhm.
which you guys all saw last episode if you were watching.
Mhm.
Yeah, so bringing him on was an absolute godsend. He was able to focus our user engagement discovery. He did a really incredible job of talking to our users and really kind of understanding the problems and the pain points, as well as discovery into channels and really rethinking the direction and a lot of the assumptions that Evan and I had harbored over the last 4 to 5 months leading up to that hackathon, 2 to 3 months, something like that. Yeah. So he was able to after that hackathon really help us build more towards some of the social side and move away from the marketplace due to competing with OpenSea, Rarible, and Foundation. They obviously added the photography categories, and they've really increased the discovery on that. So niche building a niche marketplace versus building a broad social use case, very, very important to us, and it was a much better focus. And bringing Matt on the team helped us kind of reconceptualize how we thought about Photure and where the direction was going.
Mhm. And in your own words, what is Photure?
That's a great question. I believe Photure is a platform that takes complex problems that blockchain solves, and it makes it as easy as possible for people to access those solutions.
Okay, awesome. Because when I asked Matt that, said, "Well, it's the decentralized news network," and
Yeah,
that's what it is. But it's also what you said. It just solves complex problems.
absolutely, absolutely. Like if we're talking about what is Photure like building, then it is absolutely a decentralized global news network, which is what Photure is. Like
Mhm.
what is our app? What does it do? That's what it does. It is a decentralized global news network because where content is being put on the blockchain, and the purpose of Photure is to make it as easy as possible to do that, and as easy as possible to read and consume that content in a standardized way. So we are doing both. It's like mission versus vision, so
Mhm.
it's definitely a number of different ways you can answer that question for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Why create Photure? What was the exact need in the market that you saw when you made this transition?
It was something we had always thought about. Evan specifically had saw the use case for creating verifiable historical content with Photure. Being able to have a camera that could capture an immutable date and time that couldn't be deleted from the internet. So one of the other main important parts of Photure is that we're leveraging a service called IPFS, which is an interplanetary file system, which crazy name. There isn't any planets being traded, but they're trying to
Mhm.
think futuristically about how data is going to be stored online and accessed throughout the world in a
Mhm.
decentralized way. So when you put something on IPFS, you can't delete it. I can't delete it. Evan can't delete it. The person creating it can, but they need to actually manually do that in order to remove it from that system. So, for example, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whenever something's posted there, they can delete whatever they want. They own the servers. They control the main centralized hosting provider for that content. So, whatever they want or don't want on their platform stays or goes. And
Mhm.
one of the things that Evan and I really liked about Photure was that nobody, not even us, really controls the protocol. People can put whatever they want in this decentralized server, and we can access it and show it to people. But we can't even censor people, even if we changed our minds on that in the future. So the goal of building a decentralized global news network. That was kind of like the first step to do that we kind of unintentionally created before we got there. But it was one of those things we noticed we were already making progress on the mission before we realized what the mission was. We were starting to build the building blocks that you would need to build a decentralized publication platform and protocol, and we had already started creating it accidentally in a lot of ways. And our users were really showing that was something they were interested in doing as well. We had users show hurricane damage in areas that they were in, and kind of like show like car accidents and stuff. That was another piece of feedback that we were given from someone from Consensus as well. Shout out to Aaron for that. That was also really engaging and interesting conversation that we had about being able to show property damage, show damage to a car in an accident, and kind of like bring that evidence to court on an immutable ledger like the blockchain, for example. From there, we also had a lot of users in Russia, Ukraine. Due to our product hunt launches, we were able to get some news coverage in the regions. And around the same time that Instagram was banned in that area, we saw an influx of users posting photos of bombed out apartment complexes, photos of them doing like frontline photos. I'm sure Matt talked a lot about this while he was on the call, and that user behavior really like shed a light on the fact that this is the easiest way to post verifiable content that can't be deleted or censored, and really leaning into that, and then giving people the ability to publish more descriptive stories about what's happening around them is really what we're moving toward now, and taking the focus away from quick, short form, rapid fire content to really thoughtful pieces of work, but based off of like content that was like captured quickly in the moment. So giving people the ability to quickly capture what's happening around them in the moment, but then go back and retroactively like write about like what they saw and experienced, but within that moment.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And if could you go into like the specific solutions that Photure offers?
So this is constantly evolving. So what I say now might not even be true tomorrow. But currently what we're doing is we're working with some lovely people at a tool called Via Headline, which is at viaheadline.xyz, which is a part of the Unlock protocol, who works on creating like NFT smart contracts that can be gated, token gated, and unlocked to a certain extent. And they've been very, very kind and very gracious to offer us the ability to white label the Via Headline source code, which we're exploring now, and basically embed Photure into their publishing platform. So what Headline allows users to do is create profiles and create blog posts or stories to their profile that they can like then distribute themselves through a URL, or they can send to an email list. So what Photure is going to, in a decentralized way, obviously, where it's connected to your wallet, these posts are then like stored on the blockchain through a protocol and database storage called Ceramic that we're also exploring for our main Photure platform. And yep, so what Headline will give users the ability to do is to create these stories that we're talking about with Photures that they've already created. And the direction the Photure platform is heading is the ability to capture in a camera on your phone these images and videos, and create stamps on them that have the metadata attached to it, so that even if people right-click save, take it off of the file service, take it away from the article, and take it out of context, the verifiable information still says like wasn't edited, wasn't manipulated in any way. Here's the location data attached to it, and then going from there.
Yeah, that's it's really amazing. So, and basically, this app, I mean, it'll be the first ever to offer something like that you can verify what's going on in the video or the picture with geo data and timestamps and stuff like that. That's never been done before.
Absolutely, and we're making it the forefront as well, because it's one thing to enable this type of like verification to happen behind the scenes, but it's another thing to put it directly in the face of everybody who sees the image. and making it almost the entire point is that whenever you're viewing an image or video on Photure, the whole point is that you want to learn more about the image. This isn't just like it doesn't stop after you like view it and read about it. Like you want to actually like see the verification. So we're really trying to build a platform that is intriguing to people that really, really, really care about verifiable content, which should be everybody in this day and age, with the kind of the era of misinformation we've been kind of dubbed with. So it's never been easier to create narratives and manipulate facts. So leaning into the and giving tools to the people that have good intentions, and giving people that are experiencing very terrible things the ability to get their voice heard, and to also add verification so that people don't even have to have a second thought when they see something and go, well, is this true? You know, if you're asking for money to evacuate yourself and your family from Ukraine, and you live in a horrible situation, you don't want someone who may be interested in donating to think, oh, this could be fake, and they couldn't be experiencing this, and maybe this is someone trying to scam me. We want to remove that fear and that hesitancy from people that want to do good, and give them the confidence to be able to donate to someone and know that it is truly going to someone that is experiencing hardship.
And that'll be kind of related to like the marketplace in the app. So you'll be able to support these people that are creating this content, that are experiencing these things that would be making headlines and would be broadcasted by these agencies. But instead of supporting the agencies, you'll be supporting these people on the other end of the smartphone.
Precisely. Yeah. In the era of news media, it's really difficult to get people to pay for news. It's something that pretty much from the top down is a problem across the board for everybody from the New York Times to your local paper. Getting people to pay for news content is hard, because we're so used to it being free in this era of the internet. And news was one of the first things that went online and was free at the time. And we believe that we can kind of do a paradigm shift if the news is being created by the individuals that are experiencing it. Being able to donate to a journalist feels weird if all they are is a journalist, but being able to donate to someone who is reporting live and experiencing the news that they're writing about, you feel more compelled to give to them, because usually they are also being directly affected by what they're experiencing. And being able to like help people in the aftermath of news as well. Like for example, Hurricane Katrina was a horrible thing that happened early 2005, 2006, and the aftermath was felt for years afterward. And even after it stopped being a news story, there was still people suffering, and perspectives of people getting through that, and those stories needed to be heard still, and those people still needed help. So even after the breaking news ends, there's still rubble and people left over that are struggling. So providing an avenue and an opportunity for those people to continue to get their stories out, very, very important to us.
And can you go exactly into why this hasn't been done before? Like kind of maybe like the state of technology in the world?
I think one of the biggest reasons why this hasn't been done is that like blockchain and using blockchain for this purpose, it's still very early. And getting people to do something like this in a way that like IPFS is the key point for this. Obviously, platforms like GoFundMe exists, for funding people that have experienced hardship and are in the aftermath of experiencing hardship to continue to raise funds. But adding verification content to that in a way that can't be like altered or edited by like GoFundMe themselves, it's impossible. GoFundMe owns the servers. IPFS has really enabled businesses like Photure to exist in a way that it went from Google saying don't be evil to Photure saying we can't be evil. There's nothing I can't delete someone's content after they post it. It exists forever. I can one question we get a lot is, well, if you're trying to like be uncensorable, right? And what if someone posts something really really horrific and it isn't news and it is violating your like platform, not only our platform, but like Apple's App Store and Google Play Store. We don't want to risk our app getting deleted. So how are we going to handle that? And the answer is we can hide things on the Photure front end and we can just make it invisible there if it's truly horrific, but
Mhm.
it'll still exist on the blockchain. And anybody can spin up one of our front ends once we open source our code base, and they'll be able to view the content there. We'll just be able to hide it from our official front ends. So there's definitely a world where we may have to hide a lot of content on Photure because it's either irrelevant or just harmful, and people will
Mhm.
be able to spin up front ends and be able to see that content if they wish. There's nothing we can do. And if China decides that they wanted to ban our front end because they won't be able to ban our protocol. They won't be able to ban IPFS. They won't be able to ban the Ethereum blockchain. And that's when other people will be able to spin up front ends there that can view that content, even if the Photure app or the Photure website get banned in China or Russia.
And so talking about like these foreign nations that, they don't offer the freedoms that we have in America, do you think that those people who may be suppressed will be the ones that benefit most from Photure?
Absolutely. But there's also use cases in America here, and you've seen the rise of like Substack giving people like distribution channels for getting long form content out to people that want to read that content, even if there is a freedom of speech in America that you don't have in other countries. There's still editors in chiefs at large publications that do want to keep things relevant on topic. There might even be good reasons for an editor saying to a journalist, you can't publish this. But
Mhm.
that journalist should be able to have a channel or an avenue where they can, depending on their contract. And you've seen a lot of like really prominent journalists go independent and start publishing their own work because it's never been easier to gain an audience. And you don't need the name recognition of a major player in the space to add legitimacy and verifiability to what you're reporting on. As an individual, if you are doing good reporting and all the content can be verified by location or non-editing, you should be able to have the tools to basically give confidence to your readers that what you are talking about is legitimate, and that's something that's valuable everywhere, and I truly
Mhm.
believe will be very valuable here in America as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it'd be valuable to see that the content is real and the person speaking about it is speaking about it truthfully. They're being real. So yeah, it's really cool. And
Absolutely.
so how do you envision that Photure will change lives and or the world?
Interesting. um yeah, I mean, it's so far away. We have so much stuff that I want to focus on accomplishing in the short term. Changing the world is something only a few companies have truly done. I think of like the iPhone, for example, that truly changed the world.
Mhm.
I think if I think of apps, I can think of like Facebook and I can think of Uber as examples of apps that have truly changed the world. And that's pretty much it. So getting to the point where we can be truly world changing, I believe, is when verifiable content and decentralized social platforms not don't become like a radical idea in society, but become essential for building in the future. And the idea of basically renting on like Facebook or Twitter, because you don't own
Mhm.
your profile on those platforms. You're renting. You're a guest on Facebook. You're a guest on Twitter. They're making money off of you, and you're getting marginal benefit in return. Um, I don't believe that can continue. It would be like living in a world where homeownership was illegal and you could only rent from very, very large centralized institutions. Um,
Mhm.
the freedom and the value that people create should be owned by them on these platforms, and that's when I believe that and apps like Photure, and if we can really push that forward, then I believe we could change the world. It wouldn't just be us doing it, though. We would need um, that to be the only way that you interact with anything online, is that you own your profile and you own the content. And even if you go to another brand or another community, all of the work that you've done travels with you. And that's when I believe we would have changed the world. But still a long way to go before then. And there's a lot of other things that are going to have to happen. It's not going to be just us working and creating world changing technology. It's going to be us working on what we believe is powerful and important, and people that want to create use cases in other areas also realize that decentralized technology specifically is world changing.
Mhm. And so, what would you say the stage of the company is in right now? Like the very, very early stages?
Absolutely. Yep. So we're currently pre-product, honestly.
Mhm.
We're moving away from what was like a glorified tech demo, to kind of iterate with on our journalists to this fully fledged publishing platform. And we still want to take that and continue to kind of find what works best with our customers, and what works best on the viewing side and what works best on the publishing side. And that's we're still very, very early stages there. Um, what we've made some progress moving down when we were focusing on photographers and focusing on the social TikTok influencer side of things, but
Mhm.
we slowly realized that there wasn't really that strong of like this is life changing to me, until we started talking to journalists and focusing and building in that direction, which is still very early stages. But given my background and experience in mobile app design and development, and the
Mhm.
strength of Evan in that field as well, we're very, very confident that these new product offerings that we're bringing to the market will provide a landing point base foundation for what we can continue to build on from here.
Mhm. And would you say there's like a kind of like a relative time that you expect the first version of this new app to be released?
Very, very soon. If you're listening to this, it may already be out. If not, they have to wait a few days. I'm not
Mhm.
entirely sure when this is coming out, but we'll, we'll be definitely getting something out as soon as we feel good about how it's interacting with our partners. We don't want to release something that isn't going to provide value to anybody.
Mhm.
So even after we finish it, we do want to have a review session where we'll kind of talk with some of the people at Journo DAO, for example, who've been working very closely with, and get them to kind of fit into our use case. They're very, very interested in trying out new publication platforms, and we think we have a really, really exciting one for them. We just want to make sure that we're at a point where we can kind of iterate and continue to improve it.
Mhm. And do you think that, I mean, part of the belief that you can create something of this magnitude that could potentially change the world and definitely has the capability to, it might come from your experiences, like you worked for Apple, so like you know what's going on there, and so you kind of got a little taste of like, oh, this is how they're kind of doing things, and this is how they might have changed the world, and now you see that, and you're like, oh, now you're like, I could probably do that. I kind of know a little bit about what goes into creating something that like that's global.
There's a little bit of that probably. Yeah. Honestly though, I feel like it's confidence, obviously. Confidence, and you know, the expectations, right? Like our expectation with Photure originally wasn't to do that at all.
Mhm.
And we saw the potential for that technology as we continued to work on it. And standing on the shoulders of giants, IPFS and Ethereum, and we also we're technically on Polygon, but we're using Ethereum wallet addresses and wallet connect, and all this infrastructure that exists that is been built by some incredibly talented, incredibly smart people. We're working with them almost in a way, even though we're not talking with them every day. IPFS and Protocol Labs are our investors, so we are kind of working with them indirectly and directly. But standing on the shoulders of giants in that way, it's allowing us to basically create world changing technology. And
Mhm.
bridging the gaps between world changing technology and making it as easy as possible for people to get access to that world changing technology, I think is what we're good at. And it's something that, yeah, winning an Apple Design Award for mobile design is obviously that has made me very confident in my ability to create incredible user experiences that people will want to use and will find like joy and fulfillment from using.
Mhm.
Sure, yes, like I definitely feel that way, but also I understand that I'm just creating easier channels for people to get access to world changing technology that's already been created by other people.
Mhm. Yeah, you're creating accessibility towards these amazing tools.
Precisely. Yeah, and
Mhm.
and obviously, we're doing some work there, and with our protocol level and some of the smart contracts we've been writing to continue to add to that world changing technology that's already been created. A lot of companies that's what it is, right? You create like one part of a new thing, and you kind of stand on the shoulders of giants in a lot of ways when it comes to the everything else you build your business on. Like the underlying technology and um, libraries, you design editors like Photoshop, like you're not creating all of this stuff from the ground up. All the tools and all of the pieces that you use to create a bit, most companies, it's like you're using stuff that's already been existed. You're not reinventing the
Mhm.
wheel from the start again. So that's what we're really focusing on is like the one piece of Photure that we're bringing to the table is the mobile and web experience of quickly and easily creating this blockchain content. Because everything you can do on Photure, like you can do right now, like without Photure existing. It's just really hard.
Mhm.
you, it, you have to rely on multiple different services that kind of work together, and you have to write some code to do it. Like,
Mhm.
so you could, as a user, do everything that we're talking about, but we're hoping to bring some social features as well over like the next coming months. People like bringing back like feed, like reactions, comments, sharing, as well as like really robust profiles and with following and micro donations. Building that
Mhm.
stuff takes time, and we're trying to again stand on the shoulder of giants here. And part of where we can contribute in that ecosystem is a lot of crypto products are very web based, and what we're really hoping to do is take some of these web-based libraries and make them compatible with mobile products and continuing to improve the infrastructure that exists for crypto mobile products and engaging with the Web3 mobile development community and building things that will make their projects easier as well.
Mhm. And what is it that you're most excited about with Photure?
Um, that's a great question. Wow. I am most excited about, honestly, the thing I'm most excited about is seeing this technology like change someone's life. And we've
Mhm.
already started to see a little bit of that with people being able to kind of share like our advisor from Journal Dow, Crystal, shout out to Crystal. Really being able to see Crystal share things from Women's March protests and giving her a tool where she can in a decentralized way share the stories that are happening around her and kind of build that out, and then finding other people like Crystal in those authoritarian governments and being able to save lives. And that is what really excites me, because I worked on a lot of internal tools teams over the years, like I've said, and worked on like financial products, and none of it was truly life changing, right? Obviously being able to make a car payment on your phone saves some time during your day, but
Mhm.
um, in the end of the day, there's a lot of trivial technology, and this is one of the first projects I've ever worked on that is truly non-trivial, and that I'm really
Mhm.
excited about.
Is this, the project that you worked on that you're most excited about, uh, that you ever worked on?
Of course, yeah, and it's hard not to feel excitement when other people feel excitement as well. Being able to
Mhm.
launch something and we getting up to like 30 something thousand downloads is awesome, right? Being able to
Mhm.
see people excited about having something that was or seems very complex to them that they might have never even tried before, but they just wouldn't even think about trying. But then being able to do that same complex thing in less than a minute, on top of it being potentially life-changing, the impact of that is yeah, definitely being felt by me for sure.
Yeah, and it's reached over 30,000 downloads and it's still an unfinished product.
Yes, yeah, and at some points it's had certain levels of finished
Mhm,
versus not, but nothing's ever truly finished, especially in the mobile app tech ecosystem. Every app that you use every day is constantly being updated and changed, and that's
mhm,
kind of what I like about the ecosystem as well, is nothing's ever truly done. With and I do consider mobile app design and development to be an art form in a lot of ways, and I do believe that coding is an art form, and you are creating something, and it is artistic. But most art mediums, music, painting, movies, TV shows, there is an
mhm.
end, and you do have to release something, and it is a final product. But with tech, that never ends, and there is really no finale until it doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
Because if you stop working on something, it doesn't exist anymore. Like things that like LimeWire, MySpace, right? Like those were artistic projects by creators that you can't use anymore. You can't use MySpace in the same way that you could 15 years ago. So, you know, unlike any other art form, coding, software engineering, and mobile app design and development, once the artist is done, then the piece never exists anymore.
Okay, yeah. Um, so how exactly will Photure be decentralized?
Photure is decentralized by nature just due to the technology we're using. Since it is built on like the blockchain, we don't own the servers that it's running on. Kind of like I mentioned before, we're just building ways for users to interact and engage with servers and services that already exists, and other like thousands of applications and potentially millions in the future will be using the same services and providers that we use, and it already exists now. AWS is a product from Amazon, and that is a basically a service that Amazon provides that lets other companies use Amazon servers, and Amazon uses their own servers. So the website that Amazon hosts and that you can go to right now and buy whatever you want from, that is hosted by Amazon servers, but there's thousands and millions of other websites and products hosted on those servers, but it's centralized. Amazon can ban anybody from using their product at any time. It's costly. You have to pay Amazon money to use it as well. And Amazon holds a lot of power by holding that. And the nature of these decentralized platforms like Ceramic and IPFS, which Photure is built off of, nobody owns them. They're protocols that are created, and people are paid money for running nodes. So running their own servers from their home, their work, wherever. And you're compensated and paid the money that Amazon would normally be paid for running these servers. And Photure is truly decentralized because it uses these decentralized services. There really isn't too much more to it other than the fact that we don't own, or no centralized provider owns, the entry point for using our application.
Okay. And what exactly is Photure's mission?
Uh, Going back to the original question of what is Photure,
Mhm.
Matt, I think, answered what is Photure better than I did, which is the decentralized global news network. My answer, I think, is Photure's mission, which is to make the uh, decentralized tools and services that exist that can already solve problems for everybody, making those as easy as possible to use, and making it so that those solutions that everybody can benefit from, that only a few can actually implement and use, making it so that everybody can use the solutions that they can benefit from.
Breaking down all the barriers to entry.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Whether it's educational barriers, whether it's technology barriers, whether it's complexity barriers, making it and providing even educational content is something that I really want to focus on in the future, and tutorials on like how to stay safe on the blockchain, and really like, if my goal with Photure is if you can like join the platform and become a better user of technology and more equipped and more powerful on the internet. In a lot of ways, it is really what we're
Mhm.
shooting for.
Yeah, and do you think that like educational barriers, most people might not know that anything like this does exist or could ever exist, and it's
Uh,
hard to get to reach all those people to let them know?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is that for sure. But like creating partnerships and marketing opportunity, that's something that comes with time, and we really want to make sure that our platform is equipped um, to service those people before we really start, growing it. So that's why at this early stage, our focus is to make quick iterations, quick turns, and not be afraid of breaking things and having millions of people's lives be altered. Right? We want to like make sure that we have a platform that works really, really well for people before we grow and scale it. Because in this early stage, while you're trying to figure things out, you need the freedom and the flexibility to be able to break what you're doing, be able to stop what you're doing, and like turn on a dime to make something make sense. And if you have millions of users and especially paying customers, you lose that freedom. So before you grow and you give up that freedom, you want to make sure that things are really, really, really working, and that's what we're focusing on right now.
And in your own words, as the original founder, what would you say that Photure's values are?
Wow, interesting. Um, Definitely cannot be evil is a huge one. We always want to be focused on a decentralized in any way where we feel like the temptation could exist for us to be evil. So maybe not us, maybe employees, maybe not even just anybody. Like we want to be able to set up our company in the sense that even if we wanted to be malicious, it would be impossible for us to do that. And
Mhm.
that's really, I think, one of our values that sets us apart from the rest of like traditional startup ecosystems is a lot of them they have to say like please don't be evil because we have a lot of power, and there's a lot of things that we can do that are good or bad, and people's definition of what is or isn't evil changes. But regardless, we don't have that power that those centralized providers have, because we do things in a decentralized way, and we think that that is for the better, honestly. So we're really excited about that. um Really strong focus on design. I think Photure, as a company, we really want to be design forward, design focused, design first before anything else. Things working in an effective way, and design means a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be, things have to be beautiful, shiny, flashy. That's nice, right, when it's not overdone. But design also means like you're not crashing. Like your app crashing is bad user experience. So having things quick, blockchain things are traditionally slower. We're trying to make things faster, and things crashing, not breaking. Obviously, don't want to steal people's money. Don't want people having financial risk of using our platform. That's something we think a lot about. And Matt specifically focuses a lot on the non-financial utility. And whenever we want to do something financial, we will be looking for partners for that, because we do want to protect our users when it comes to using Photure, and we don't want them to have any fear or risk of losing financial assets when they use our platform or product.
And do you think that there could be a way for people to sustain their lifestyle off of Photure?
Yeah, yeah, I do believe so. I do believe that we're going to be moving toward a world where it's already very common now, but it's only going to be more and more common where people will be full-time content creators, and there will
Mhm.
be an economy for individual full-time creators. We already see now that like the number one job kids are want, it's moved from astronaut to YouTuber, and that's a trend that's only going to continue, where people are going to want to be creating content full time, and they're not going to want to be working for a traditional brand or a traditional media company. They're going to want to be creating their own brand and having that ownership over what they do and say online. And we believe that Photure will focus on creators that specifically need to create verifiable content, and the entire point of what they're doing is to say that this really, really happened, whether it's they're experiencing once in a lifetime events, whether it's shows, concerts, events, anything like that, right? But from the main focus of our platform right now, which is, breaking news, journalistic integrity, we will be providing a way for people to be able to make a full-time living off of that. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Just from Photure itself, and it'll create its own ecosystem just for people to a whole economy right in the app.
Yeah, yeah, and we need to figure out how we're going to get there. And
Mhm.
there's a number of different ways that you could potentially make money off of this. I talked about donations a little bit, um, but we want to be able to do it in a way where you don't risk losing money in a way that you don't feel good about. Obviously, if you lose money donating to someone, you didn't really lose money.
Mhm.
You might have lost money in the sense that like you have a negative balance, but you feel good about the transaction you made. So we just want, if people are putting money into Photure, we want them to feel really good about it. And if you're making money, we want it to be in a way that you feel is fair and you're not being taken advantage of by the platform.
Mhm. And how far away do you feel Photure is from being where you really want it to be?
It's a great question. I feel like it is. Who knows? Honestly, it's one. It's going to take an indefinite amount of time for us to get this right, and we don't
Mhm.
know how long that's going to be. We don't want to rush it, and we don't want to say it's going to be done at
Yeah.
this point in time because it might be done before that. Depending on how well things go, and it's going to be a lot of trial and error. And it's not really a moment of time, but it's more of like a moment of this type of activity is happening frequently on the platform. We're seeing people frequently create stories. We're seeing people frequently come back to read articles daily. It's observing activity that we recognize and value, and seeing that happening and continue to grow is when we're like, all right, we're ready for like the big time, and we're ready to maybe refocus somewhere else. So instead of thinking about it in like a timeline based, like things have to be done by a deadline, which all of us kind of think in that way due to like work and school. It's
Mhm.
really thinking about it in the sense of we have like goals on behavior that we want. We have goals. We want people to do things, and we know that people want to do these things. And it's how effective are we at letting people do what they want to do, and constantly measuring that. And then once the measurements we're seeing are very, very positive, that's when we start, growing, scaling, and then finding ways for people to make money doing the things they already love doing.
Mhm. Has doubt ever came in when you were building this thing? Have you ever come close to ditching it along the way from where you when you started to where you are now?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. That happens whenever you're doing something important. Whenever you're doing something worth doing, you're always going to question whether you should continue to do it or not. And there's always going to be reasons that you will make up for why you shouldn't do this thing that's important. And it's something you with time and experience you have to start recognizing within yourself. Ian, we actually gave you a book on this called The War of Art. Which, if
Mhm.
you're listening to this, highly recommend you check that out. Um, yeah, like whenever you're doing something worth doing, like you almost instinctively try to stop yourself from doing it and fall back into what feels comfortable and what feels normal to you. And I have to fight that every day, and that's going to continue to happen for the duration that I work on Photure. But it's just about powering through and pushing through that feeling, even when things are bad. Even when things are good, those feelings of doubt can always creep in. But it's just about staying grounded. My team's incredible. Matt's a great leader, great CEO. Evan is
Mhm.
an incredibly technical mind, brilliant. They're both great friends of mine, and
Mhm.
just being able to have them as like a regular support network and like, hey, we're all in this together. It really helps you push through all those doubts and feelings of reservation that you may have about the project, and it's entirely normal. And not shunning and stigmatizing that feeling either. Being like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't be doubting myself. It happens. It's natural, and just understanding what the feeling is, and continuing to stay grounded in what's reality.
And like, would you agree with like continuing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations what allowed you to grow?
Absolutely, it's one of the most important things you can do as a human being is continue to challenge yourself. There's so many people that accept the status quo for what it is every single day, and they don't want anything to change. And for me, it's constantly staying on my feet, constantly trying new things, constantly objectively thinking about things, having friends challenge me, and not being in a situation where anybody's untouchable. I want people to tell me I'm wrong. And I want the opportunity to be able to defend why I'm right, potentially. It's having that opportunity to give and take, and it, even being challenging, even having people challenge your right ideas is something you should embrace, because it gives you the ability to better articulate what you mean and what you want to get across. So that's why I enjoy doing like podcasts like this, for example. You can ask me questions and I can really challenge what I think and really articulate what I believe about this product or what we're doing.
And like, when did you unlock this mindset? Did you unlock it in college? Is that what gave you the confidence to leave before getting a bachelor's?
Definitely some of that. Absolutely. There was definitely some level of, all right, I'm already getting clients. I'm already at a point where I can like start building a product. And from there, I was able to, you know, gain an audience that way. And that was very empowering for sure. But there was still doubts there too.
Hmm.
It's tough. I honestly don't know exactly. I may have had that mindset before college. When I go back to when I was a young child learning how to code in like middle school and early high school, and just having in seeing imposter syndrome around me in those environments, and wanting to build games, not knowing where to start with it, but understanding that getting things out and shipping things and putting yourself out there in a good way or a bad way, right? Like releasing games, I've had like nobody care, right? I've
Hmm.
entered tons of hackathons, contests that I've lost, right? And it's those like defeats and understanding that, hey, even if things don't work out, like it's not that bad. that
Hmm.
that's something I feel like a lot of people don't realize, is that whatever fears you might have about putting yourself out there, there's nothing worse than never doing it. And
Hmm.
whatever you fear could happen from you putting yourself out there, that's much, much less significant than, the fear of never doing anything. So that's why I'm always trying to try new things, because of the fear of never doing anything, which
Hmm.
scares me much more than the fear of Photure not working out, anything else that I do. So that's why I'm always trying new things and trying to push things forward.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Always feel like you'll always regret what you don't do. I mean, at the
Yeah.
end, you'll just regret what you didn't do. You won't be kicking yourself for all the things you tried out that didn't work.
Michael Scott always says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Patrick. I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. It's been
can't wait.
great. And I'm sure everyone should go download Photure right away. Am I wrong?
Please do. Please do. Got the QR code right here, right? Scan it on your phones right now. Links in the description. Press
Yes.
like when you're down there.